e-learning lab is less a space, more a collaborative community. But we're all interested in e-learning. Many of us both teach and research and reach out to others to help them make better use of e-learning, which involves computers and it involves mobile phones. It involves the internet, and very often it involves distance teaching, but it could be in a classroom. It could indeed be in a computer lab, in a school, or in teacher education. We knew years ago in the last century that the technologies would merge. Well, what's happening is that the way that people work is changing. We've seen that in other sectors. It's happening in education. The government in New Zealand is putting a lot of funding into the infrastructure. Years ago, universities were put onto broadband internet, and now that's happening for schools and for communities and for businesses. And this means that education and training can take much better approach and access to e-learning if they can figure out how to best use it. And so that's why we're excited to work with them, because it's a very challenging thing to do, much more than you might think, because it changes the way you learn, it changes the way you teach, and it brings other people into the processes. The whole ecology changes.
Is there anything else you'd like to report, Malcolm?
Yes, I suppose at the moment I'm just going through my tools for research. David Hopkins' book on classroom research, which is quite clear on a lot of things. He talks about open observation, which is basically...
Research is always much stronger with a community. At the same time, we need people to be able to own their own intellectual property, not least when it's part of their job and they need to show that, but also when they're students, because you grow much more if you own what you're learning. Our research students in doctoral and master's programs and the colleagues that we collaborate with in this university and worldwide actually all have projects that can learn from one another. And so you can see us on a Tuesday afternoon meeting together at times in the e-learning lab space for research students, and we draw on visiting academics and we welcome colleagues into those discussions as well.
I'm doing a PhD in education, developing a model of professional development for adult literacy educators. So the research that I'm doing is design-based research, which means I have an active role in the research itself, because not only am I researching what's happening within the study, but I'm also actually helping to design the environment in which it takes place and putting in place things to see how they will work. So I'm very much involved in the whole process. It's taking place in an online environment, and I'm looking at developing a self-sustaining model of professional development, one that once the research is finished and I've back out of, the participants who are all adult literacy educators will still be able to continue in.
Hey, this is Chris Evangelista again, coming to you with something just a little different from my normal piano lessons.
My PhD topic is teacher and student perception of digital technology in music education and implications that that might have for me teaching music teachers. I looked at what music teachers thought was the use of digital technology in a music classroom, and you have to understand that music teachers have embraced this very early on, but it's come from a very classical point of view, and many of our kids in high schools are far more interested in the contemporary thing. I found that the teachers themselves were very capable, but were still looking at it from a very classical sort of approach. When I asked the students, the key thing was, yes, they like being with their music teachers at school, but if they're not getting what they want, they can find it on the web. They hunt out tab, they hunt out lessons so they know how to finger it, they watch songs on YouTube, they engage with it at all that level, they share it amongst their friends, they discuss it, they have interest groups. It's a whole web out there. It's a changing role for a teacher. It's very much the sitting beside the students now, rather than actually directing them. Because if they don't get at school what they want, they'll go home and find it.
I see it growing by this community giving more and having stronger partnerships elsewhere. We have funding from Ako Aotearoa to create a set of scenarios of tertiary education in 2016, and it inevitably includes a lot of e-learning and changing the structure of education. Our goal is to inform New Zealand education and internationally, and some of it is actually part of our teaching here in the university, and teaching these days is about developing a community of learners, and we can use e-learning to go way beyond that and to collaborate with people internationally. We really blend the teaching and the research.